Reinvention is the key to overcome new challenges and keep growing. Welcome to South Summit 2020. A new networking platform with a revolutionary live TV format to access and connect from any device, anytime, and anywhere. Join South Summit 2020 and multiply your business opportunities.
Well, welcome to the second day at South Summit. My pleasure seeing you all and being here with you. My name is Alex Barrera, and I'm going to be your host for this energy and sustainability track of the second day of South Summit 2020. So before we start, I want to remind you that even though our stage is in Madrid, we are connected with people all over the world. It's my pleasure to see faces all the way from South America to North America to Europe to Africa, all the way to Asia. And I'm actually seeing some of those faces that we're going to talk about in a second. Also remember that we're running parallel tracks now, so even though you're watching this one here, you can also watch the mobility and smart infrastructure track, all the connectivity and data. Last but not least, please remember that this afternoon we'll be running the prime time sessions, and we have some really interesting speakers. Maria Eugenia Girón, Vice Chair and Board of the Directors of Oceana. Mr. Sam Waterston, the actor, also a member of the Board of Directors of Oceana. By the way, I'm a big fan of Sam, so that's going to be a big one. Robin Richards, co-chair of Draper Richards Kaplan Foundation. Blake Winchell, Managing Director of Partner Ventures. Or William Shu, the founder and CEO of Deliveroo. So before we dabble into our track, I want to remind everyone how this is going to be structured. We're going to be running through four different blocks. So even though we call it energy and sustainability, we're going to touch different aspects of these things. So we're going to start with a first part. It's called Energy Solutions, where you're going to hear two pitches from startups regarding energy solutions. Then we will move towards waste management and recycling, where you're going to see four different pitches there. Finally, we're going to move to energy with two more pitches. And last but not least, sustainability with three final pitches, which, by the way, I hope you enjoy. And please remember, and I'm very happy and glad to introduce our sponsor, Endesa, who's the host and the sponsor of this track. And without further ado, I want to introduce how we're going to do the startup competition. This year is definitely a little bit different. So we're going to have two types of judges. We're going to connect with a bunch of judges digitally and virtually that I'm going to be introducing in a second. And we also have some very good friends of ours, which are going to be the judges that are also going to be physically here with me on the stage. So just a reminder, we're going to run the pitches are a 3-minute pitch, and then we're going to go to a Q&A with both the virtual and the in-person judges. That's going to run for 30 seconds each response and 2 questions per startup. And without further ado, I want to introduce our judges. So first, I'm going to start with the beautiful people that are joining me physically here. So I would love to extend my gratitude for you guys to being here. So people like Fernando from Enel, Rebecca from Ferrovial, Fernando also from Enegas, Pedro from Sacyr, John from Naturgy, thank you for being here, and Ricardo from BBVA. Pleasure having you guys. Thank you very much for joining us here today. And let me go to our super digital, duper virtual panel. How is everyone connected there? I hope everyone is watching and ready. Do you have the popcorn ready? Big tank of water. This is going to take a while, so I hope everyone is ready there. And just very quickly, Fernando from Elewit, Marta from Wayra, Jesus from Fundación Once, Jeffrey from JSeed Ventures, Gonzalo from Day One, Diego from Dalus Capital. Diego, I haven't seen you in ages, by the way. Owen from Exxon Capital, Marta from B Startup, and Estíbaliz from the Vizcaya Bay authorities. Thank you so much for being there. I know this is going to be long. Stay with me. We're going to have fun. I promise you, extraordinary startups. So if they're not extraordinary, you can send me an email later and tell me about it. But I really hope you like it, and I hope that everyone likes it during our track. So we're going to start kicking some rock and roll. So hopefully all the judges are ready for this. And let's get to start with the first block of energy solutions. And to talk about that, I want to introduce our first startup, who's coming all the way from Italy. And it's a plug-and-play IoT solution for to improve indoor air quality and energy consumption, and also the management of the whole thing through AI algorithms. So to introduce the next startup, please welcome Isabel Tejero, the country manager for Iberia for Enebrain.
Hello, dear audience. I was wondering how you're feeling right now. It's been a long day listening to the companies and learning about super cool innovative projects, but I'm sure you are tired. Just for the record, the companies here, we are just partially responsible of your fatigue. Because what about the air you are breathing or the place you are? Indeed, when you have a bad ventilation, it leads to a high level of CO2 in the air, meaning that you're going to start feeling tired, bored, feeling discomfort. It's also saying that we have energy inefficiencies in the system. The bad news here is that this is not an extraordinary situation, but a usual one. And the 30% of the energy we are consuming in the world is just for buildings. And the 40% of this energy is just covering the air conditioning needs, which means that we have a huge problem. How can Enebrain help solving this context? Enebrain solves all these issues, making your living environment comfortable without the pollution or energy waste by improving the regulation of the HVAC system thanks to artificial intelligence and Internet of Things. We only need a set of wireless sensors gathering information about the environment, sending all this information to the cloud where our powerful algorithm will treat all this data and will define the best way to improve energy efficiency over the time. We will need some actuators we will install before the main equipment and control everything thanks to our intuitive dashboard. As you can imagine, there are some other companies working on this field. Big companies, small companies. What makes us unique is that we can retrofit any building in only few hours, and we are compatible with any existing building. Buildings using Enebrain today have reduced energy bills up to a third. The energy we save will allow the final client recover the investment in around 2 years, including the annual fee for our services. We have some other business models, leasing, ESCO, but in any case, we can always commit with the final client with the level of savings we will achieve. Before finishing my presentation, I would like to introduce the team making possible this technology. We are a group of 50 experts based in different locations in Europe, Asia, Middle East, who has been awarded several times since 2015. In any case, I would like to highlight our greatest success. That is the trust from different top companies that they are implementing our technology, not only in-house, but with their clients. We want to continue being better and better. For that reason, we are looking for partners to help the journey to make the buildings more efficient. If you think you can be one of them, we will be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Thank you very much. That was very cool. So I hope we have Isabel connected. I want to go back here to our judges. So please, judges, we're going to get ready for a question. So please raise your hands so we can locate you. There's a lot of you guys. So raise your hands so we know who's going to ask the question. Remember, it's a 30-second question. So be quick. Now, do we have any questions? Let's see. For judges, no questions so far. There you go, Owen. Thank you for joining us. Please fire away and don't put them into a tough spot, please.
Hi, thanks so much for the pitch. I was just curious how much it costs to implement it and how many either people hours or what percentage of of a year's revenue, let's say, does it cost to implement each one?
Well, the cost depends on the solution we are going to find in a specific building. But depending on if we are talking about supermarkets or malls or airports, the cost is going to be different. But we can have in mind that it's going to cost around 2-5 euros square meter. But we are going to recover the investment in around 2 years. So if you know what is the cost for the HVAC in a
And
specific building,
we're out of time. I'm sorry.
you will know it.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
I feel like being in one of these contests where it's like, oh, you lost a car. So I believe we had another question. So please, our judges, raise your hand so we can locate you. Where is the next question coming? Okay, I believe we have it in one of our physical judges. Okay, I believe. Ricardo, you have the next question, please. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, thank you so much for your presentation. My question is about your value proposition. In addition to the strong savings to the clients, what do you offer exactly to them? Is there anything else you can deep dive in, please?
The value proposition is that we are going to install very quickly without no interruption of the activity. We are going to be able to install our system in no matter which building we're going to find, no matter if they have a BMS or not, and which brand. And we are going to achieve savings since the very first day. And installation is going to be done in just a few hours.
Wow, impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, both of you. Wow, that's impressive. Honestly, I do a lot of pitching, and this is kind of extreme answering in 30 seconds. Well, judges, those are the 2 questions for this startup. So thank you very much, judges, for your questions. And thank you so much, Isabel, for your pitch. And let's move on to our next startup of this first block. I'm actually quite happy to have this next startup because I've been having beers with the founder, which is an extraordinary company coming all the way from Spain, from Seville, which has an incredible story of going, hardship of doing energy and how hard it is to build some of these companies. So please welcome, all the way from Spain, our next company to talk about hybrid energy storage solutions with Eugenio Dominguez, the CEO.
Hello, good morning. I'm Eugenio Dominguez. I'm the CEO of Hestec. Hestec is a technological company that provides optimized turnkey energy storage solution based on a hybrid approach. And the question is, why hybrid? Right now, we are involved on a complete energy transition of the grid, with the massive integration of renewable sources, with the integration of electric vehicles, and an important upgrade of the grid. And the energy storage is called to be like the holy grail of this energy transition. But the key question is to define which energy storage is most appropriate to do this transition. The problem is that there are myriad of energy storage technologies that with different behavior, different capabilities, and there are myriad of services to be provided to the grid. And none of the current technologies can cover all the services at the same time, provoking an oversizing and overuse of the technology. Just a hybrid solution, a smart combination of different energy storage technology can provide an optimized solution. And this is what we do. Thanks to our artificial intelligence algorithms, our control and behavior models that we have developed during the last years, we can provide a turnkey solution using this hybrid approach, providing a more optimized solution with less CapEx, with less OpEx, and with the improved capability to provide multiple services. This is a combat-proven technology that has been proved with key players on this market, like UK Energy in the US or Enel Endesa here in Europe. And this can be applied for different fields, from transportation, residential integration, electric vehicle integration, or the different parts of the grid, from the renewable energy source to the commercial and industrial applications. This is a huge market, and our key customers right now are large EPC companies, are utility or system operators. And what we do is to close the gap between the capabilities of the energy storage technologies and the real needs of these customers. We have to fight against key and important large players like Fluence, Frecon, or United or Green Smith. But our add value is that we can provide a reduced CapEx and reduced OpEx solution with multiple service capability and with optimized operation. At the end, what we do is to provide this turnkey solution, also providing energy storage as a service and the operation and maintenance services, closing that gap between the capability of the energy storage and the needs of our customers. This last year has been a key year that we have contract up to 1.4 million in sales for different projects, and we expect that for the next year we will achieve 4.6 million on sales. And we are going to provide solutions for renewable utilities like Enel, Red Eléctrica, Iberdrola, or Acciona. This is thanks to our team, a team with more than 20 years of experience developing systems for energy storage. So at the end, what we want to do is to unlock the energy transition thanks to the use of the energy storage. Thanks so much.
Boom! Thank you very much, Eugenio. Pleasure having you. Okay, judges, ready for rock and roll? Let's see if we have any questions. Please raise your hand, judges, so we can locate you. Let's see who has a question. There we go. Let's see. Okay, I believe, Diego, we have a question. Go for it, please.
Can you explain a little bit about the business model and how you are monetizing the technology? You are selling the technology, renting, SaaS model. Can you talk about that?
Perfect. Thanks for the question. Well, it is due to the unmaturity of the market. Right now, we are providing turnkey solutions. But at the end, what we are going to provide is our platform to be able to optimize the operation of the energy storage and allow this hybridization. So in the next year, we are going to provide the energy as a service, the energy storage as a service, not only the turnkey application.
Okay, that was to the point. That's my Eugenio. Okay, judges, any other question that we have? Okay, I believe we don't have any more questions. Well, Eugenio, thank you very much for your pitch. Judges, thank you very much for your time. And let's move on to our next block. We're actually stepping out of the energy solutions, and we are stepping into the waste and management and recycling block. And to talk precisely about that, I have someone on stage with me that I would love to invite in a second. He has a stellar background. He probably works in one of the most iconic brands in retail around sustainability. It is an authentic pleasure having him on stage here with me. So please welcome Javier Goyeneche, founder and president of EcoAlf. Hello, Javier. I don't know if let's do this. There we go. Please have a seat. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks.
Good. It's a pleasure having you here, and I'll tell you why. I keep having startups coming to me and saying, yeah, we're going to get into the sustainability thing. And every single conversation ends up with, by the way, do you know the guys from EcoAlf? I'm like, it's funny, you know, several years ago, no one gave nothing, yes. And now everyone is taking you as the reference, right? So I would love to get into how do you achieve that status, because what everyone tells me, all the startups tell me is like, you know, we want to do this, but it's so hard without collaboration, right? We want to recycle materials, but how do you get people to give you those materials? So I believe you guys stroke a really powerful collaboration with fishermen, for example. So I would love to hear a little bit more about how you achieve that. How do you get that scale?
Well, I think it's many years. I mean, we started in 2009, so it was, in 2009 it was even more strange because people weren't so used about the word recycling. I mean, even people would ask me, no, why would anybody buy a recycled jacket when they can buy it new? And I said, well, because there's going to be a point where there's not going to be enough natural resources, so we have to start recycling our own waste. So I think the waste is not the problem, to be honest. Unfortunately, there's waste everywhere in the world, so it doesn't matter where you go. It's more important the technology that goes behind the waste to convert that. That's why the beginning was quite tough, because we started recycling fishing nets in Korea in 2011. We recycled the coffee in Taiwan in 2012. We started recycling cotton in Portugal in 2013. Then we started this amazing project with the fishermen in 2014.
Wow.
Which was amazing, because we were talking with them because we were getting a lot of nets, and one day one fisherman told me, Javier, you should come out and fish with me and see how much waste gets caught in the nets every time we pull up the nets. Wow. Mixed with all the fish, there's a lot of waste. So I went out fishing with them, and it's true. Unfortunately, there's a lot of waste. So we convinced 3 fishermen from a little port in Spain, in Villajoyosa, to let us put a little container, and all that waste, instead of throwing it back to the ocean, take it to the port. Right now, it's over 3,500 fishermen in Spain collecting waste every day, more than 600 tons taken from the bottom of the ocean.
Wow.
Then we started collaborating with the government in Thailand, where I go every 3 months. So we have a joint venture with the tourism authority. So we're replicating the project. And now we're starting to replicate it in all the Mediterranean. We signed 6 ports in Portugal. We're signing the first one in Italy next Monday.
Wow.
And so the goal is to work with over 15,000 fishermen from all the Mediterranean.
Well, I mean, when you get to do things, you do it the big way, right? I was actually thinking, you know, I'm a big tea fan. No projects on recycling tea? You know, all the tea that people use?
Not for the moment.
I just leave it there.
Let's think about it.
No, the truth is, as you said, is not just the reuse and recycling of these materials, right? It's the fact that you guys took this an extra step, right? I believe that you are incorporating technology not just to reuse these things and how do you create the new retail and the high quality of the clothes you make, but also they have properties that are also good for the environment. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like,
well, for example, the coffee. The coffee is amazing, no? Because the coffee has natural properties, you know, it's anti-odor, it's UV protection, it's fast drying. So putting the leftovers of the coffee in the polymer, then you don't have to give it through chemicals. So I think that there's a lot of ways to do things in a more natural way. Of course, with the dyeing materials, with everything. No, it's just a matter, as you said before, it's more complicated, it's more expensive, takes more time, takes more effort, but that's...
Well, now everyone is shining a light on you, so that...
Well, I think that what you do is not enough anymore. I think how you do it is much more important. I think anybody can make a t-shirt, anybody can make a building, anybody can make food. The problem is, how is that building made? How is that food made? How is that t-shirt made? I think how you do things is very important.
Which actually, by the way, you keep bringing coffee, right? I just told you I like tea, and you keep bringing on coffee. Okay,
I don't drink coffee, by the way.
I remember that.
I've never drank coffee in my life, but it has a lot of incredible properties.
No, but I was thinking that there's also been a trend happening, which is the people want to know where things come from, right? And there's been a big effort. There was a lot of talking when blockchain came around. Let's try and trace the whole supply chain and how we're doing these things. But you're actually doing it, which for me is impressive for the fact that there's a lot of talk about that and not a lot of implementation around that. So I would love to hear, you know, what are your thoughts? What's the status of the project that you have? I believe you have a project around that. So what's the status of that for you as a company?
Well, I think when I founded the company, I always said that I didn't want to be a storytelling company. I wanted to be a story-doing company. So at the end, I don't want to tell you there's a problem in the ocean. I want to be part of the solution. I know that even though we take 600 tons of waste every year from the ocean, I mean, there's 8 million tons of trash coming in. So I'm not going to clean the ocean. But I think it's a way to start. It's a way to create awareness. And it's the same way. Next month, we're starting a project. We're going to clean up, because, I mean, unfortunately, all that waste goes to the ocean through the rivers. So we're cleaning the first river from beginning to end, 165 kilometers of river here, Rio Jarama, which we're going to do in collaboration with Biotherm, a company from cosmetics. And we're going to do cleanups every 15 days for 3 years, and cleaning step by step of the river. No? And showing that at the end of the day, if we clean the rivers, there will be no waste in the ocean. So I think it's a matter of thinking of projects and starting. It's just, we're a quite strange fashion company.
Well, you make it look very easy, to be honest. No, but you can see that it's your values, your personal values, what come into play. So very quickly, because we're running out of time now, what would be the advice you would give to all these companies that are now starting, right? You've been the trailblazer. So what would you advise them to do? What should be the one thing that you say, don't do this or do this?
Well, I think the world doesn't need more companies doing things in the same way. I think there's a new generation of companies that need to do things in a different way and show that that can be a balance between the planet's health and our current or future needs. No, it has to go together. Because to be honest, I cannot envision a planet going terribly bad and companies going incredibly well. So that in my opinion, that doesn't match. Yeah. So I think for the people who start, I think, I don't know, I would encourage them to be innovative and try to be disruptive. Don't stay in the comfort zone, because at the end, there's too many companies already in the comfort zone.
That's a good advice. I think I'm going to share your email later on so they can talk to you. Javier, we're out of time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure and an honor meeting you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Javier. Okay, so that was cool. It pains me so much that we don't have enough time to keep talking around these topics. However, we do need to go back to our startups, and our next startup is coming all the way from Brazil. And I'm lucky enough that I have been involved with the judging of the original projects that came, so I know most of them. And this one is one that actually caught my attention because it has some impressive science behind it. So I want to welcome our next startup, as I said, from Brazil, and they're a biotechnology company that develop new materials that absorb oil in the most efficient way in the world. Not just efficient, but in the world. So please welcome our next startup, Guillermo Pinheiro, founder and CEO of Biosolved from Brazil.
My name is Guilhermo Queiroz. I'm the founder and CEO of Biosolved, a Brazilian biotech company applied to new materials development. I'm here today to show you an amazing solution for oil chemical spills. Almost 6 million tons of oil were spilled in the last 5 decades, only overseas according to ITOP. Ladies and gentlemen, I present you the BioBlue Natural Absorber. Here we have 2 tanks, and we're putting crude oil in these 2 tanks in the same quantity. In the first tank on the left, we use polyurethane, which is able to absorb 12 kilograms of oil in 30 minutes. In the second tank on the right, we use our product, the BioBlue Natural Absorber. Our product absorbs 22 kilograms of oil in only 15 minutes, twice more absorbed in the half of time. This product is made with palm fibers discarded in many crops in Brazil. Only 3% of a palm tree is used to produce the heart of palm, a eatable product here in Brazil. And we use the rest of 97% to produce, among other products, the BioBlue Natural Absorber. The most important, this product is the only one that allows the reuse of spilled oil. So we can recover the oil from the sea or land and put again to refine. See the difference between these 2 products. As I said, our product is natural, twice more absorbed in a half of time, and the most important, 95% of oil recovery. I went to France, and Total has challenged us to test our product in the Cedric Institute, and that's the result. Our technology is the #1 in the world. Some competitors from Germany, United Kingdom, United States, and some of our products. We produce absorption barriers, containment barriers, kits for industries, ports, airports, highways, mining companies, or even to small repairs. And that's the reason because our market is so large, $145 billion in 2019. Our revenues last year, $1 million, and our projections to 2023, $85 million. We have just closed our Series A here in Brazil, $3.75 million with a valuation of $25 million. We were accelerated by Plug and Play United States. We're the winner of Grand Prix de l'Innovation in Paris. We are finalists of Startup World Cup and some assets. Our new factory here in Brazil and our team. I'm from TOTUS, the first Brazilian unicorn. Wagner is the man behind the innovation. Giuseppe, an important executive from Telecom Italia. Habib, our R&D director. And Fantini, our raw material supplier and our industrial director. Believe me, we believe that we can change the world. Actually, between making money and saving the world, we choose both. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Muito obrigado, Guillermo. Okay, so we're going back to our judges. Times for questions. So please, judges, raise your hands if you have any questions. Okay, Owen, I think you're on a roll. Let's hear it.
Hi, I was curious if you're licensing the technology, so the manufacturing plant is more like R&D, or if you were planning on scaling out the plants so that you have, you're managing all of the plants and the supply chain.
We manage all the plant, and we use the biotechnology to analyze the fibers and to create new programs, new products from these fibers. I don't know if I understood right your question, but if it's right, this is the answer.
That was interesting. Thank you, guys. Okay, any other question that we have? People, judges, raise your hands so we can see them. Okay, so we're sticking to virtual. Marta from BStartup, please join in.
Hi. 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 In which phase of development is your product in? And have you raised interest from large corporations or industrial sector? And tell us, could you tell us the specific sectors of application of your product in order to have some examples?
Okay. Of course, we are interested into partnerships with great companies and corporates, and we can use our product to infiltration systems to clean water, and we can use this product there as absorption barriers in a case of accident, for example. And we sell to companies such as Vale here in Brazil, Vale, mining company, steel companies, or
and we're
oil
out of time,
and gas
Guillermo.
companies.
Sorry.
Okay.
I hope that was clear, more or less, lost in translation. Okay, Guillermo, muito obrigado. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much, judges, for your questions. And let's move on to our next company. We're switching continents now. We're going back to Europe and all the way to a country I actually love very much. Not that I don't like Brazil, by the way. I was there in March, so still a beautiful country. So we're flying back to Europe and all the way to Greece to introduce our next startup from the block, where they enable the smart waste management. And it's so hard. Every single time I talk with startups and they tell me, you have no idea what a mess that is. And I said, like, but can you just put digital and do things fast? And they go like, if only it was so easy. So to talk about that and to talk how do you enable smart waste management, please welcome George Stegos, the CEO of ResiTrust.
Hello everyone, my name is George Stengos. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ResiTrust, and today I want to describe you how we're trying to revolutionize waste management for business and waste collectors. So let me start with the problem. Athens International Airport here in Greece has more than 13,000 employees, and the majority of whom don't sort waste, and in fact they don't recycle a lot. That makes the organization of airport to pay more than 4 million euros per year for these waste management inefficiencies. In order to help them, we deploy in selected places in the airport area, in terminals and buildings, some smart scales in order to start measuring waste for separated waste streams, paper, plastic, and so on. So let me explain you how it works. The network of scales, aggregated measurement, if reach a threshold of, let's say, 100 kilos, then notifies a network of certified waste collectors who they participate in the auction, and the highest bid, the highest price, the clearance price, enables this collector to go and pick up the generated waste. Of course, airport generates revenue from its waste, and also the waste collector has incremental revenue by participating in the auction. So just in 30 days, we realize that the solution has really value, and if we run the solution, we deploy the solution all over airport for a year, we can help organization of airport to have more than $1 million on cost savings and more than $500,000 on revenue generation. As you can imagine, we target on organizations like airports, office buildings, financial institutions. They use a lot of paper, hotels, and so on. And this is a market of small, medium, and large enterprises with more than 10 employees of 400,000 businesses. Compared with other existing solutions in the market, ResiTrust has the advantage that we measure weight. We measure the weight of recyclables, and the whole marketplace is based on this weight. And also we provide smart contracts for transparency and tracking of this waste for all the stakeholders. This is the pricing model. We have two pillars, one for businesses to get the scales and also to pay a monthly subscription fee, and one is from collectors in order to pay upfront to participate in the auction. This is our team. It's a great team. We're passionate on providing environmental solutions. We have large experience on building startups in the past. This is where we are today. We officially incorporated on February 2020 with the participation of InnoEnergy. In fact, we are the first investment of InnoEnergy in Greece. And based on current trends, we're expecting to install more than 5,000 scales in 500 businesses here in Greece. And based on that, we're expecting to generate more than 8,000 euros in revenue. Thanks a lot for your attention, and hope you like our solution.
Thank you very much. Efcharistos, George. Okay, we're going back to our physical judges. Okay, Rebecca, it's your turn, please.
Hi, I have a question. How do you check if this technology is possible to apply in different countries apart from Greece? I mean, the legislation for the recycling and for this kind of technologies is possible to apply in other countries?
Okay, first of all, as I mentioned, we just incorporated on February 2020. So our main focus is to establish and penetrate the Greek market. We are aware about legislation. We're not involving in government, let's say, restrictions. It's a B2B solution, so we just enable the matching between corporations, facilities, and certified waste collectors. We're trying to automate that here in Greece. Because we are so low in performance, we're enabled to do that, and we're gonna look
George,
for.
We're out of time.
Okay, it's okay.
I was gonna say, like, nice moment to incorporate the company, February 2020.
Yeah, just before the lockdown. True.
Okay, any other questions, guys? Judges, physical, virtual. Do we have any other questions? Okay, Marta, from virtual, please come in.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the product? Are you actually selling the waste collector, or is it something you're placing in existing waste collectors?
Okay, we just provide smart scales, scales that measure the weight of recyclables to corporations and facilities. They place the scales underneath existing bins, network of bins, so we can able to start measuring, and we charge the corporations per scale, one-off, a gate fee, and then a subscription fee per connected device per scale. And then these scales are notify certified waste collectors when they reach a threshold of a specific kilos, let's say 100 kilos, to go and pick up.
I have to cut you guys. This is horrible. This is so horrible. It's like I can see your faces suffering there. Thank you, Efcharistos, George. Thank you very much for your time and your pitch. And thank you for the judges for the questions. Okay, so we're going to introduce our next chat, which is going to be very brief, but hopefully very interesting. And to chat about waste treatment, I want to invite someone that has extensive experience on waste treatment. So please welcome on our stage Álvaro Sagrario, who is the Director of Energy and Waste Treatment Plants at Sacyr. Álvaro, please join me. There you go. Okay, so it's going to be quick, but hopefully interesting. So you have a very, very unique background. You've been working in the company for 15 years, and you've been managing the waste plants, which is not kind of like the usual app that someone builds, right? So I'm very, very curious to know, what is the biggest challenge you're finding right now at the moment, right? There's been many changes, but what is the biggest challenge you see as someone in charge of managing and building those things? What do you see from an innovative perspective that it's like, okay, we really need to fix this?
First of all, thank you very much for the introduction. You're overwhelming me. So now there is a challenge of reintroducing existing materials that we normally work with in our normal life. At Sacyr, we have already embarked in the circular economy, and we are doing that with used tires. We treat more than 25,000 tons of these materials, and we are talking about normal tires that you normally change when you go to the mechanic. So what we do with these tires? Normally would you think, well, this is the end of it, but this is not the case. This is when Sacyr comes into life. We include these tires into the circular economy, and we send them back to road.
Nice. Well, it's kind of interesting because, sometimes I think we don't realize how much stuff ends up in a landfill and is not being recycled, right? And what are the challenges from a technical perspective to do this, right? Because why weren't we doing it before? That would be the question.
Well, one of the critical points is to include these materials in an economic and efficient way. We have developed one material which is called RARX, which is tire powder. This tire powder is included in the additives of asphalt, and is a way of reintroducing these materials into normal life. But this material is not just a material that we use for the sake of it. It actually enhances the quality of the asphalt that we use. It becomes more flexible, it becomes more durable, and less noise. So actually, we find all the benefits of it. But it also is good for the environment because we reduce the amount of aggregates and the petroleum additives. So this material has been used in several countries around the globe, in the United States, in Russia, in Spain, and Sacyr has also used them in the highway of Mexico and some cities of Spain, like Madrid or Malaga.
Nice, nice. That sounds impressive. Now, very last question, very quickly. What do you think would be the next material you guys are going to start reintroducing in circular economy?
Well, we are working at several, no, difficult question. We are working in several developments, and some of the materials coming from hospitals we are working on, but we are in the innovation stage, development stage. So hopefully very soon we will get there.
Well, then I hopefully have you on stage next time so you can actually explain in depth how that's working. So Alvaro, thank you so much for joining us here today, and it's been a pleasure. And let's hope you guys keep pushing in that space. Thank you very much, Alvaro.
Bye. Thank you.
There we go. Okay. Damn, so many interesting topics that we cannot expand. But, however, we keep moving on. So we're going to step into our next startup, and we're going to fly this time all the way to the US. And we're going to tackle again the biotech space and how important it is, or how many startups are now starting to use this kind of biotechnology, synthetic technology, bacteria-related technology to clean up, sadly, our own mess. So to talk about that and to talk how do you use bacterial degradation to biodegrade oil-based products and plastic waste, I want to introduce our next speaker from the US, Liz Madaras-Cons, the CEO of Polylube.
When I started venturing into bioengineering almost a decade ago, I wanted very specific things, namely a corporate career. But then I saw something disheartening. Out of the 300 million tons of plastic waste we generate each year, more than 86% ends up as landfill, leaks into the environment, or is incinerated. I couldn't take it anymore. So I decided to use my knowledge to go find Polylube, the best chance we have towards a plastic neutral planet. The biggest driver of the plastic waste crisis comes from packaging. We use it and then we dispose of it. And then it lingers on in our environment forever. It doesn't have to anymore. We can go from this to this. And let me show you how. Take your run-of-the-mill Coke bottle, for example. It could outlive all of us numerous times. It doesn't have to anymore. In 50 days, it can go from your hand to this, a non-toxic sludge. And that sludge contains nutrients. It can harbor life. How did we do this? Through biotechnology. We have invented a cocktail of bacteria. 2 of them are genetically completely unique on the globe, and they're capable of consuming the carbon inside the plastic as their sole carbon source. This technology is currently being patented. We don't want to eliminate other recycling methods. We want them to work, but we also offer complementary technology. We can deal with all plastic packaging waste. There's no need for sorting by type or by color. We don't use any chemical solvents, and we can transform your plastic waste into something valuable. This is a unique technology on the world, and we recognize that the marketing potentials are huge. We can be a sole bacteria supplier to the globe. We can transform plastic waste into nutrient-rich soil. We can be industrially scaled within 2 years, and the other possibilities within our bacteria are countless. Here, I could talk to you about market size, valuation, and whatnot, but I want to impress on you something even more important. No one will make any money if everything is dead. The green economy is the new economy and the only economy which we can function on. We're a very young team in a very young company, but we've all left our corporate careers behind to build something greater than ourselves. I hope you can join us in our journey. We've only been a company since April, but we've been featured in numerous publications and we have very strong partners. And now we're here at South Summit, and I can only hope you like us. Finally, I would like to leave you with one of my favorite quotes from Nelson Mandela. He believed in his dream, and we believed in ours. And I can only hope you're brave enough to do so too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liz. There's one thing that I feel it's important to kind of highlight, which is the fact that I love when we see very young teams tackling these really hardcore problems. A lot of bioengineering, a lot of biotech, a lot of synthetic biology. So that's pretty amazing, Liz. Congratulations on what your team has been achieving. And let's open up the floor to questions. Please, judges, raise your hands so we can find you. Any questions for Liz? Okay, I believe Diego wants to ask a question. Diego, please, patch in.
Yes, great presentation. My question is, what's the current validation you have for the technology, and what you need to do until you achieve commercialization for the product?
Okay, so currently it works very well in a laboratory scale, and we did the full analysis of the end product, which is the sludge, with an accredited third-party laboratory, which does all the validation for the pharmaceutical industry in Hungary, and they do all the microplastics analysis in this country as well, and that is the current validation we have.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Another question. I believe Jeffrey had a question there. Jeffrey, welcome from Asia. Thank you for joining in. Please.
Hi, great presentation. Really interested in what you're doing. How far away from commercialization are you? You mentioned 2 years, but could you break that down a bit more?
So when I say 2 years, I mean industrially scaled, which involves degrading maybe tens of thousands of tons of plastic at the same time, not in one facility, but in several. The commercialization can come sooner on a semi-industrial scale, because of course, for us to reach the industrial scale, we have to go step by step, and we will have an intermediate size as well, which we can commercialize much sooner. But we also feel that to really solve this issue, we have to do it on a huge scale as well. And this is what I mean by 2 years. Smaller scale, maybe half a year, 8 months.
Okay, thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, Liz. Thank you very much for your pitch. Thank you very much for your questions, judges. That was pretty impressive. I love this hardcore scientific things, and putting it on the field and actually hopefully working gives me hope. And I love by the way, I love the quote. That's a kind of quote that the team here at South Summit needs. See, guys, everyone thought this was impossible until we did it. So that is for all of you guys over there. So anyway, we're going to go in and move to the next startup, which I also had the luck to check, and it's really impressive. So we're going into the deep biotech thing here. So I want to welcome our next startup all the way, again, from the US. And what they do is they use they have a process to re-engineer food waste. As far as I know, specifically right now related to milk-related products, and then turns that into a replacement for fibers, for fashion, for medical, and for packaging industries. So without further ado, please welcome our next startup, Robert Luo, CEO of Metero.
Are you tired of sending your food waste to landfill and polluting our environment? Well, I am. Hi, my name is Robert Luo. I'm the founder and CEO of Metero. Do you know that 40% of the food we produce around the world goes to waste every single year? Amongst that, 128 million tons of milk are being dumped. Our food waste will create 3.3 billion tons of greenhouse gases. How can we find a sustainable and affordable solution to solve this global problem? Don't worry, my company Metero came up with an innovative technology that can re-engineer milk waste into biodegradable fiber that can also replace plastic. Our first patent-pending technology extracts and purifies milk protein from expired, spoiled, or bad milk through our patent-pending process called protein activation. Then we remove bacteria and other unwanted substances from milk protein through self-assembly purification. Our technology could potentially apply to any type of protein-based food waste that includes plant-based products. Our second technology separates the two different proteins from milk, casein and whey. We spin casein into fiber I'm holding up right here, which can be made into t-shirt, just like the one I'm wearing, face mask, bed sheets, and other textile application. On the other hand, we turn whey protein into food packaging film to replace plastic packaging, and this is a prototype that we have created from whey protein. Our fiber is skin-friendly, allergen-free, 100% biodegradable, and requires 60% less water than organic cotton. Our fiber will also cost lesser than organic cotton, making it very market competitive. Our weight packaging film is 100% biodegradable, edible, and non-toxic. Not only are we helping cheese and yogurt manufacturers reducing disposal costs, but providing a viable solution to replace their plastic need. Our packaging film will also cost lesser than any of the bio-based materials in the world, and the performance will resemble the current performance of PET. We're securing our upstream resource by partnering with DFA, Dairy Farmers America, to launch our pilot in 2021. DFA is the biggest raw milk supplier in the world. We have received early purchase commitments from Dole and Arla. Harada, on the other hand, has purchased our milk fiber to start producing a apparel line for their own. We'll begin to launch our pilot in 2021 and to scale up our production in 2022. We have a team that generates results. We have a team of serial entrepreneurs, PhD material scientists, chemists, and marketing experts. We will begin to supply our milk fiber in the beginning of 2021 and our film at the end of 2021. Thanks to our innovative technology, food waste can now be re-engineered to replace petroleum-based materials. Thank you.
Boom. Robert, I know you're connected there. I want a t-shirt, please. Let's exchange emails afterwards. I want one of those. I love how he keeps showing the product. That's great, great idea. Anyway, judges, are you ready? Do we have any questions? Okay, so I believe we have a question here for the judges here physically. Fernando?
So, Robert, thank you very much for the presentation. Indeed, it was very interesting, amazing product, and really interesting to be one of your customers in the future. My question is regarding your roadmap. You said that, you are going to increase the revenues very, very bravely in 2021. But my question is, which is the most important element that you need to scale up the company? What is the more important risk? It's a question of technology, of course, a question of money. What is the most important risk that you are going to achieve in the roadmap?
The most important thing for us to scale up is the technology. We're currently developing the protein extraction machine, which will be ready by the beginning of next year. And we're also partnering with a very big dairy farming association in the US called DFA to launch our pilot on their site in 2021. So we will be able to reach scalability next year.
Okay, Fernando. You know what? I have a question for you now. So you're heading open innovation, right, at Enagás. So how do you see that accelerating the energy transition? How important it is from your perspective? You're right in the dead center of it.
As you know, we have a huge challenge for the humanity. The challenge is the climate change. And indeed, for this challenge, we have to join forces. And indeed, we need the innovators, we need the VC industry, but also one very important element is the corporations. So from Enagás, we are trying to help this ecosystem to grow, to achieve this huge challenge in 3 lines. The first one is supporting with equity, with money, with capital.
That's always good.
This is good. But and here even is most important than in other technologies, because as everybody knows, here in energy and sustainability, the investment capacity has to be very high in order to accelerate the project. It's not a question of very small seed capital. You have to invest just for the beginning alone.
Not cheap.
So we have to join forces to do that. So that is very important. The second element that we try to work is to offer our technical capacities, our infrastructure in order to help the companies to grow. And the third, that is also very important, is the corporation could offer the commercial challenge to scale up the company in terms of commercial side. So in that sense, Enagás, we have invested so far 20 million euros in more than 14 startups. And of course, we are pretty sure that if we cooperate, if we collaborate the different ecosystem, we can help to make this new world of decarbonized world to make it a reality. So for sure, it's going to be something that will happen.
Well, I was going to ask you, you have a portfolio of 14 startups. Do they give you a hard time?
Yeah,
Let's leave it at that. Thank you very much, Fernando.
Okay.
And let's go back. I don't know if, meanwhile, do we have any other questions? Judges, virtual judges, any other questions for Robert? Fernando, please come in through.
Hi, Robert. It's a pleasure to meet you. I have a question. You are going to focus on the milk protein, or you are going to develop in some other products?
So our technology could potentially apply to other products as well, such as soy, distilled grain, and other type of plant-based protein.
You are thinking about to develop that solution?
We are thinking of that. We are actually testing it with Budweiser.
Okay.
Wow, it's impressive. Well, that one I knew because I had checked the pitch, so I knew they're working on new stuff. Robert, thank you so much for being here, connecting all the way from Asia. And thank you very much, judges, for your time and your questions. And we are stepping out of this little block, and we're stepping into the block around energy proper. So, to kick in the new block, let's welcome all the way from Germany, an intelligent grid platform, and please give a big welcome to Simon Kopman, CEO of Envelio.
Hi, everybody. My name is Simon. I'm co-founder and CEO of Envelio, and we are working on the digital transformation of our power grids. And actually, our power grid is the most complex, largest, and most important system of humankind. It's really at the core of our modern society. This core system now has to undergo a fundamental change for us to reach our climate objectives. So for a successful energy transition, we have to integrate hundreds of millions of renewable power plants, but also charging points into our grids. The problem is that the grid infrastructure, but also the IT systems used to manage that infrastructure are not really ready for this challenge. That's where we as Envelio come in, and we provide the Intelligent Grid Platform, or in short, IGP, which is a software as a service solution for utility companies and distribution grid operators, helping them to digitize and automate planning and operation processes. So the IGP is really a digital grid operating system, which starts out with modeling the real grid. So building up digital twins by cleaning up existing data sources and getting to the best possible digital model. And then this model is used for a range of planning apps that help to make faster and more cost-efficient investment decisions, decisions on how the future grid should look like. And then there's a range of operation apps which help to really operate the future grid once it actually has been built by crunching large amounts of data in real time, and also use those insights for automated grid control. And what this looks like in reality, I would like to show with this example with our customer EDIS, one of the largest German grid operators operating the grid surrounding Berlin, like you can see here. And what you see here is one of our planning applications called Connection Request. And with this app, there's also a web interface where customers of the grid operator can just go on the website, locate themselves like you see it here. Then they can decide what kind of unit they want to build. They can just check the feasibility right away on the website. And as you now see here, the user gets pretty much an instant feedback right away on the website. And so we cut down the process time of this process, which has been days or even weeks before we implemented our solution, to just a matter of seconds. And this is a good example of what our powerful platform can do. Me and my co-founders come from a research background from Aachen University in Germany. And the technology behind our platform comes from our 5 PhD thesis. And since starting the company in April 2017, we have now ramped up to 66 employees. We are backed by a couple of venture capital funds already. And our customer base has, on the customer base side, we have a very strong traction in our German home market, with 17% of the German market already covered with our solution. But we also have first international customers, big names like, for example, EDP and InHealth. And currently, based on this traction, we are further expanding internationally. And that's what we are also looking for: new utility customers, potential partners, but also potential investors for a Series B in 2021. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you. Dankeschön, Simon. Thank you very much for joining in. And as always, time for questions. So judges, prepare your hands so we can track you. Any questions, please? Okay, Marta, Waira, check in.
You mentioned that your business model is you're a SaaS, based on a SaaS model. Can you tell us a little bit more about your pricing, and also which are the savings also you're providing to your customers?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Well, yeah, so on the pricing side, we have a pricing which is separated by each of the apps in our platform. So we try to be modular and tailor it to where the grid operator is currently at in the digital transformation process. And then we scale each application price with the grid size of the customer so that it's feasible for smaller and for bigger clients at the same time.
Boom, that's called German efficiency. Thank you, Simon. Any other question? There we go.
Hi, thanks for the pitch. And I wanted to know if you also included different market mechanisms like demand response and all of the different varieties of revenue streams that different jurisdictions might have.
Yeah, so we look at it more from the technical perspective of the grid. So for us, demand response, flexibilities on the generation side or energy storage would be actually part of the flexibility options that can be becoming a part of smart grid. And as part of that, we also assess the economic perspective of these technologies. But we don't look at each of these individual business models in detail. Rather, we look at it from a grid perspective, from the DSO perspective.
Okay, thank you very much. Dankeschön, Simon. Thank you, Owen. I have a question for Owen later. He's wearing, is that a Patagonia vest, Owen? Should I be worried? No Patagonia vest? Okay. Okay, I'm just being mean, sorry. Anyway, so we're moving on to our next block, and I want to invite three good friends of the house. We're going to have two of our guests physically, and our dear friend Jeffrey is going to connect with us in a second. So meanwhile, please welcome Silvia Bruno, Chief Innovation and Technology Officer at Elewit Red Eléctrica. Let me get there. Take a seat, please. Yeah. Okay. You choose. You're at home. And let's call in also our good and dear friend, Fernando Sandoval, Manager of Innovation at Enel Hub. Fernando, pleasure having you again, as always.
Hello.
Here we go.
Great to see you.
And on this other side, I hope oh, wow, that was fast. Jeffrey, thank you very much for joining us. Jeffrey Char, founder and CEO of JC Ventures. And now that I have you here, thank you for the time schedule, because as always, connecting different areas, different regions, there's always someone that gets a little bit screwed. So thank you very much, Jeffrey. Your track record is impressive. You've sold companies, you've created so many companies. Now you're devoting your expertise and your funds to invest in accelerating the energy transformation, right, and the acceleration of this. So I wanted to know, and this is kind of a unique question that you probably have a very unique perspective on this. How do you see the pandemic affecting energy transition? We had a certain trend, so I would love to get your take on what are you seeing on the ground as someone that's very involved in this. How that has affected it?
Wow, okay, that's a pretty big question. I think it really depends on which part of the pie you're looking at. The energy market is a huge market, of course, and I have two different companies that I'm working with right now. One is based in Japan. We're an energy retailer here, and the pandemic actually hasn't really hurt us much. We're very fortunate that we focus on the residential market, and with people working from home, we're actually selling more to the existing customers. It makes getting new customers more difficult, of course. But I think in general, the pandemic is really causing everyone to reevaluate kind of the norm. And you're seeing an acceleration of a trend towards digitization and whatnot. For one of my other companies in Southeast Asia, it's very difficult because I can't travel. And so I really need to be on the ground visiting in Cambodia and Myanmar and whatnot, but it puts things on hold. So it's a double-edged sword.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep pushing here with a challenging question. We are seeing kind of very different speeds and very different models towards several industries, including the energy industry, between Asia, Europe, and the US. So do you see big differences between what you see on the ground there in Asia and what you see maybe in Europe and the US? Are they big differences, or everyone is kind of aligned towards an energy transition?
I would kind of divide it a little bit different. distinctions are less important, I think, than, say, the development stage of the local market. So in developed economies, a lot of the infrastructure has already been built. And so the transition to the distributed model with renewable energy is inevitable, but it will probably take longer in these markets because we've already invested in the infrastructure. In other markets where they're less developed, especially where you've got energy access being the main problem, this will actually accelerate the trend because in these places, they'll just leapfrog what we've done in developed economies. Instead of building out centralized large grids, they'll probably build much more distributed mini grids and whatnot, where you generate the power locally and use it locally. So that trend is actually, they'll probably leapfrog us in that sense by perfecting those technologies and lowering the cost.
Wow, that's impressive. Thank you very much, Jeffrey. We're very honored having your perspective, very, very unique perspective, and we really appreciate you being here with us. And wait for me for a second. I'm going to switch sides and talk with our guests here physically. How are you guys doing? Good?
Right.
Excited?
Yeah.
Good. So, Sylvia, I'm going to start with you, that you're closer to me. So, big question. I know this is a challenging one. Is energy transition happening fast enough?
Oh, such a good question. Energy transition, I think it could be called as a moonshot in innovation terms. So what does it mean for us in the Red Eléctrica group? Means that we have such a big challenge, and that means that in 2050 we have 0 emissions. And that means also the decarbonization of the economy. So this means 100% of introduction of renewable energy, and also including the supply of electricity in sectors that it's not so present today. So we have also goals in 2030 and 2040. Spain, I think, is a big example of introducing renewable energy, but I think we need to push forward and push more to facilitate technology solutions. For that, we are working on that.
I hope they hear you, but Spaniards are pretty loud. We hate change, so let's see how we manage that. And kind of connected with that, Fernando, I wanted to ask you, like, as we were talking with Jeffrey, you know, the pandemic is accelerating this, and the trends were already there, right? But this is kind of accelerating and putting a sense of urgency around this notion. So how are you guys adapting to this change? Because it's a pretty brutal one, right?
So COVID-19 has shown us that innovation pays off. That is something that we have seen in the group. Because thanks to the work we have done in innovation all the previous years, we have been able to continue operating worldwide and be resilient in this time. So this has been great for us. But COVID-19 has also shown us that we have to keep pushing, we have to be tackling even harder towards energy transition and speeding it up. So, and we are also convinced that we can rely on startups, we can work with them in able to get this goal. So that's why we have launched Reshape, that is a global call for startups, where we are tackling challenges either resulting from the new scenario or that have become more relevant because of it. And these challenges cover all of our value chain, from power generation all down to delivering better products and services to our customers and to society. So my message here is to invite all the startups to join us before November 30th. That is when the call ends.
I was just thinking, like, one day at your office has to be pretty crazy, like with all the urgency and all this stuff coming in. So thank you very much. And kind of connected to that, what are you guys doing? What kind of projects can you talk us about that kind of showcase this situation, this transition towards around energy?
So for us in Elewit, we are the technological platform from the Red Eléctrica group. We are working in a lot of projects and initiatives with all the tools and nurturing all the tools that an interconnected global and diverse ecosystem brings to us, like, for example, with our corporate venture capital, with our venture builder, with our venture client, and also with the innovation projects that arise from the internal knowledge. So giving us some examples, for example, we are working with some hybrid storage solution.
Are able to and must work together. Now, this collaboration is key if we want to bring solutions into reality at scale, benefiting both the corporates and startups. So we see that all major players in our industry are working already with the startups, different vehicles and models to do that. For instance, in our case, in Enel and Endesa, we have a venture client approach. So what we want is to engage into win-win collaboration relationship with the startups, with the goal, the ultimate goal, to having them become suppliers of Enel or any of its companies. So far, we are working already with more than 300 startups, out of which we can consider 60 already scaling up in the group. So it means they are already suppliers of Enel. And most importantly, these startups have received more than 40 million euros in revenues from Enel for the POCs, for the pilots, for the commercial relationships we have developed. But the point here is that even though we are a large company, our resources and our teams are limited.
Yeah.
So it means that for an entrepreneur, it is not only presenting a solution or a technology, it is identifying use cases that we can apply within our company.
Yeah.
This way, it is much easier our people to get interested in these solutions and further explore other use cases. And not even that, also defining these new cases with the entrepreneurs so that they can have success cases to go to other customers, thanks to the work they do with us.
Well, we need to talk about that. One day I'm going to sit you here and I'm going to start pitching you startups and see if we can fit the use case to you guys.
That's what I do every day.
Well, Fernando, Silvia, thank you very much for joining us here on the stage. Thank you so much. Jeffrey, thank you so much also for joining in the conversation. Pleasure having all three of you. And now let's keep moving and back to our pitches again. So we're staying home in this case, and I want to introduce our next startup coming from Spain and talking about how to disrupt the data center industry. This is one thing that's quite interesting because we all use technology, but we don't fully realize all the metal, all the cables, all the fiber, all the servers that run behind the curtain, right? And the amount of energy and resources that takes. So to talk about how to revolutionize that, I want to introduce our next startup. So please give a big applause and all your attention to Paul Balz, co-founder and CIO of Submer Next Gen Data Centers.
Hi, I'm Paul, co-founder of Submer, and we are disrupting the data center and internet infrastructure. Data centers, as of today, consume more than India, 6% of the global electricity, and it is growing towards 1/5 of the global electricity by 2025. An average data center consumes the amount of water in an Olympic swimming pool every 2 days. It's crazy. They are basically growing so fast that it's impossible to keep up with this growth with existing building technologies. We have a few examples here from Netflix, Google, Facebook, and so on. And now also we have a few technologies converging like AI, machine learning, blockchain, which require very powerful hardware, GPUs, ASICs, FPGAs, and so on, that generates a lot of heat in the same space, impossible to refrigerate with traditional technologies. And on the other hand, we have low latency applications like internet communications with 5G, edge computing, connected cars, machine-to-machine, and so on, that require low latencies to be able to reduce these delays in your communications. And this is how we solve it. We created a full stack technology, hardware plus software plus chemical, and now also robotics, that allows us to submerge any kind of compute in our baths, and we are able to dissipate the heat in orders of magnitude more efficiency. This means that we can pack 10 times more density per rack. This means saving 85 to 90% of the real estate by using more powerful servers. We can save 50% of the operational costs thanks to the efficiency of the system. We can save 50% of the capital expenses because we don't need the brick and mortar, false ceilings, cold aisles, and so on. And we also save 99% of the water because we can recirculate the water and the heat for district heating a building, and so on, so empowering circular economy. The market is huge. It's growing at a 2-digit rate, only in terms of growth, 300 billion in the next 4 years. And our vision is to capture this market by becoming the de facto way of operating and making data centers more efficient, more sustainable, and more dense. We are ahead of competitors, 10 times faster. Basically, in a year, we move faster than our direct competitor in 10. We have a PCT international patent, and we own the full stack technology. Again, hardware, software, chemical, and robotics. We are moving towards automation and making autonomous managed services, and this brings us to the subscription business model also. And some happy customers, Digital Realty, one of the biggest scholars in the US, Etisalat in Middle East, Airbus, and so on. We are growing towards 9-figure sales by 2023, 10x growth last year, and our team is a rock star. We basically have the former infrastructure director from Apple and Yahoo, our CDO, ex-Ingrams, ex-Intels, and so on. And this is Summer. I hope you like it, and please, if you have any questions, shoot us an email at paul@summer.com. We are looking for customers and future investors. Thank you very much. Okay, wow, Paul. That was impressive. I would say you were giving me the heebie-jeebies, to be honest. I'm a computer engineer myself, and I was seeing like the blade coming into the water, and it was like, no, that you don't do those things. They break, but it's impressive that you managed to do that. So, okay, we're on to the questions. So, do we have any questions? Okay, let's go to our physical judges here.
Hello, thanks. Congratulations for the project. Taking into account all the savings you mentioned, what is the typical payback period of your solution versus a standard one?
Less than a year. The ROI is basically less than a year. If you look at the total payback of the solution, if you have to choose between air or traditional technologies and Summer, in less than 4 months, you would recover basically the investment of the difference.
Boom. Okay, wow. Okay, I believe Jeffrey is in. Jeffrey, come through.
Hi, how do you compare against Asperitas?
That's a good question. Asperitas is one of our direct competitors, one of the very few competitors. They are based in the Netherlands, and basically they rely on passive convection. This means that, like when you kitchen, the heating elements is what move the fluid throughout the tank. So they basically cannot dissipate, or basically less than half of our dissipation capacity, and they have a lock-in in the form factor. So they need specially built servers for their use cases, which is blocking the market for them. We have total flexibility and agnostic to the IT.
Okay, wow. You got me there. Paul, really impressed with what you've built. This is the beauty of working and doing the job and having all of you here, is getting exposed to this really extreme deep tech and cutting edge technologies. Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you very much, Jeffrey, for your questions. And we're going to go back to the stage, and I want to invite our next speakers to have a chat around what it is to invest in some of these companies. So to connect with our next speaker, I want to introduce Carlos Fish, who is the principal at Seaya Ventures. Carlos, where are you? There you go. And also with him, Eduard Castañeda, who is the Chief Product Officer and co-founder of Wallbox, which it's one of their investments. Thank you all for being here. Hello, how are you guys doing?
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Okay, so I have couple of questions for you guys. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start with Eduard. So you're in the middle of pushing, or one of the spearheads of the electrification process, right? I'm pushing especially in Europe with your technology. So in the same way I was asking Jeffrey before, how is the pandemic affecting you guys? Even though the trend was already there, I believe that there's been certain disruptions in terms of the speed or where this is actually happening. So I would love to hear your take on how the pandemic is affecting you, but in general, the electrification effort that's happening worldwide and in Europe.
Okay, that's a good question. So initially we could thought that the pandemic could cause some damage, but actually in some period of time, this transition period of quarantine has shown us that air pollution has been down, right? And this, I think, showed to the people the importance of having some kind of transportation that takes care of the environment. And also the reaction from I think the users that have been towards private transportation has encouraged the investment, in this case of OEMs and manufacturers. And I think European Green Deal, and in this case the Chinese program, and the same Joe Biden approach is taken with the Green Deal, have been oriented in such a decision to go towards the electrification. So I think instead of damaging the investment in electromobility, is being the opposite. So now we are feeling that everybody's pushing towards, and we're seeing a lot of movement, not only because we have been invested and we are happy to, but also other companies, we are seeing a lot of movement in our sector.
Well, I can see Carlos's face and he's happy, right? 23 million investment, Series A, like pretty impressive. So Carlos, back to you now, the ball is with you. And I would love to listen. I know it's a tricky question, okay, because strategies are normally secret, but what are, in your opinion, like some hot areas around energy transition and smart mobility? I believe you guys have invested also in smart mobility. So what are the hot areas that you personally like and the firm and the fund kind of is looking for and really enjoys?
Yeah, thanks for the question. First, as you mentioned, we've been very active in smart mobility and energy over the past few years with investments in companies such as the amazing Wallbox or Cabify and Picard. I think the two trends that Eduard mentioned, the first, the push for safety of the user right now, and the trend to use mobility options with less human contacts is there, and then also the green recovery is pushing a lot towards these trends of smart mobility and energy. In mobility, we've been looking at several multimodal platforms that could offer mobility as a service offering several transportation alternatives within the same platform, or even in the marketplace, integrating several third-party options with a subscription model. In energy, we've been looking a lot at distributed energy businesses, energy management solutions, batteries themselves, or the underlying tech within the batteries are low balance storage. Finally, there's some impressive companies in the demand-side management in smart grid solutions, smart cooling like Submer, or self-healing networks with predictive technology thanks to artificial intelligence. However, it's super important to take into account the regulatory framework in each of the countries, because the disruption is going to take place at a different pace in every continent and in every country.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting fields, to be honest. We're kind of running out of time, so very, very quickly, going back to you, Eduard, if you had to name one thing that we're missing for the market to go fully electrical, what would that be? Like very quickly, the one thing that comes to mind.
Well, the word by itself is tough, because become fully electric implies a lot of things in the whole organization that we have. Obviously, what we are trying to deal is that every customer has their own user experience, right? And I think we by starting with a mature solution for home users, then going for condominiums, business, and finally approaching the public infrastructure, it's definitely the way, right? So I think in the case of providing good solutions in the charging and mobility is the right way, but also energy and the way we transport energy and we can feel it in every place when we are moving is also really important. So it's part of our focus. We are focused on this entire solution ecosystem from our segments, home, business, and public, and dealing with smart hardware for sure. This word is all everywhere. So the Internet of
I'm going to stop you there because you're basically saying everything has to change. Yeah. Okay, no, it's definitely a challenge. That's why you guys are doing it. Anyway, we've run out of time already, but I really appreciate you guys connecting. It was a pleasure having you. And once again, congratulations on the impressive round for both of you. And hopefully we see a lot more like this. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, and we're back. So we are stepping on the final block, which is going to deal on sustainability and kind of a generic perspective on what sustainability is and mindset and stuff like that. And to talk about that, I'm going to welcome our next chat, sponsored and run and hosted by Endesa, who's going to introduce us to very different companies, very different startups they work with, but that they kind of bring very important things to the table. One of them is employing and using blockchain technology to fight energy poverty. And the other one, and I am sorry because I'm very biased about this stuff, I'm a big fan of space technology. So the other startup is going to talk about satellite technology and satellite imagery. No disrespect, again, for blockchain, big fan also, but you know, one has their tiny little heart for other things. And to talk about that, I want to welcome on our stage our next guest. So please welcome the head of innovation for the Iberia market at Endesa, Jose Minguez. Jose.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
There you go. How are you doing, Jose? Please stay. Well, let's take a seat. And we're still waiting for one of the connections, I believe. Yeah. So, Jose?
As you said, I'm very proud to present you 3 projects. We are very happy with them. 3 examples of open innovation. And first, let me introduce you Joan Miquel Anglès, Sales Director and Co-founder of Energy. He's very passionate for weather forecasting and renewables. And please tell us how you mix these 2 passions to improve the stabilization of the grid and the implementation of renewables on the grid, please.
Thank you for the presentation. Yes, of course. Unfortunately or not, the weather, the renewable energies are strongly linked to the weather and the climate behavior. So what we are doing in Energix is facing this challenge to manage the variability and the intermittency of the weather sources. In order to convert this energy, this power into power, electricity power into the grid. So mainly what we do in Energix, we are helping power producers and power utilities in managing the operation of their wind and solar power assets in order, through our. For example, I want to highlight our application Sentinel, which it's really focused on solar PV technologies, and it's able to monitor thousands of PV systems that are distributed in big territories, and monitor that those thousands of systems, and then analyze them and provide the information necessary to operate them and optimize their performance.
Thank you very much. We are very proud of the project you are doing. And now let me introduce you to Ainhoa Cid. She's the CEO and co-founder of Carten Space, a satellite imagery analytics company that uses remote sensing techniques, deep learning, and artificial intelligence to turn satellite imagery into value-added business. with this presentation, Ainhoa, the floor is yours. Tell us what you are doing and what you're doing with Enel Group.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Well, Carton Space delivers global-scale detection and monitoring solutions based on satellite in my area. So the first time that we got in touch with Enel Endesa was in the Electric Hub in Madrid, where we presented our detection monitoring solution for planning the cutting and planning tasks in the electrical line corridors. Thanks to that meeting, we started to work for Enel Group in other use cases, but now are part of our service. In fact, currently we are working for two different projects for Endesa España, but also for Enel Global. I want to tell you a little bit more about our success story with Enel Global in Romania. So, as you may know, a very relevant part in the Enel network commercial operations business is related to the non-technical losses, search and mitigation. And in that context, we developed a global scale methodology consisted of building an intelligent model that can quickly identify, detect, and extract relevant features in the terrain that are directly related to those non-technical losses. So as you can imagine, the importance of the artificial intelligence for us was that we could do it in a faster way than with the most traditional methodology, and allowing us to help Enel to detect electrical flow in any part of the world in a very short period of time. So this project is now in its final steps, but as I told you before, since one year ago, we are also working for Endesa España. And I'm very proud to say that this contract has been extended for 1 year more, and not only in Spain, but also in Portugal, which is very important for us because that means that we are offering good solutions for our clients, and also that we are performing a quality job for them. So what I can say is that the trust that Enel Endesa placed in us continues today, allowing us to grow in the national market and also reach new clients for our space-based solutions for energy market.
As you see, two examples of technology, open innovation and collaboration with the startups. But open innovation is not only about the startups. And now, please, let me talk to you about Confia project. 2 years ago here in South Summit, I said in a blockchain panel that we were really committed to develop a really cool and good project about blockchain. Well, I have to tell you that this time has come. This last September, we turned on a Confia project. And let me explain you what is Confia. Confia is a network between public administrations, electricity companies, regional authorities, social services, city clients and clients, a blockchain network where we are sharing really information. This way, every of the role players have a little piece of the puzzle. Together, we have in real time all this information, of course, taking care of data protection, taking care of cybersecurity, because this project aims to improve the operations for our most vulnerable clients. So at the end, what we are doing is developing a network that helps the social services to do better their job and focus on the most vulnerable clients. We hope Confia, which is trust in Spanish, of course, is really a good use case for blockchain because we have a network. We safely interact the operation with them. We give trust to parties that they don't have a trust in this kind of information. We share the information, we trace the information, and of course, taking care of this information. And as you can see, this is an example of innovation that pushes sustainability, in this case for the most vulnerable clients. We are really pushing this project. We hope to have it in production in the following months. Now there are 6 city councils testing the platform with real data. This is not a proof of concept. This is really coming true. And this project has been developed by 2 vendors, the University of Malaga, Alastra is helping us, and also the City Council of Malaga. So as you can see, 3 examples of open innovation, very different, one from each other. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Jose, for being here and sharing the stage with us. It was a great pleasure having you here. You know, I'll tell you a story about this. I don't know if Ainhoa remembers, but I met Carten when they were very tiny, starting up in Asturias, when they were like just nearly an idea. And it's a pleasure, actually, watching them grow in such a hard industry as space technology.
This proves that when a startup does a really good job and they really make business and focus on business, they can give a lot of value to the big corporations.
Yep. Definitely. Or it can prove that you have to meet me first and then grow, right? Jose, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, guys, for being connected. Pleasure having you. And let's keep moving and rumbling. How is everyone doing? How are we doing? See you guys. How are my judges doing? Judges, startups, are you doing okay? Yeah? I think some of you need some kind of coffee or something like that, okay? Yeah, I see some smiles there. Yeah, coffee works. Everyone fine here? John, you okay? Okay, you have your energy still. Okay, very good. So now we're moving into one of the final startups that we're going to pitch. And I'm quite impressed but what we're seeing. So we're flying this time all the way to Germany. And we're going to talk about how can we use machine learning and neural network and neural biodiversity to help plant breeders create new crops. And to talk about that, I want to welcome on this stage of South Summit 2020, Mr. Sebastian Schulheis, CEO of Computomics.
Hi, I'm Sebastian, one of the co-founders of Computomics. We help plant breeders breed plants that grow even in a changing climate and accelerate their time to market. We founded the company in 2012 with experts from ETH Zurich, Max Planck Society, and have over 100 years of experience in AI, genetics, and breeding. We've completed over 130 projects and are in the middle of a business model transition from services to royalties. And we are creating climate-resilient plants with the help of AI. Our proprietary technology allows us to accelerate the time to market for plant breeders and increase yield in every location in a changing climate. We are able to provide advice on stable agricultural products, including higher biodiversity and reducing the use of fertilizers, pesticides, and the like. Our technology integrates all the information that's available and achieves double the accuracy of what's typical with statistical models. For example, for one of our clients, the International Rice Research Institute, we are able to predict rice yields not only in the Philippines, where they have lots of field trials, but also in other countries by creating a model for all the rice varieties that they have sequenced. Using this, they'll be able to predict yield even in different climates and different regions. The market that we were addressing with our projects was the plant breeding market. Now, with this business model transition, we're able to switch over to the global seed market. This is a much larger opportunity. The revenue streams will continue to be based on projects, licenses, and partnerships, but we're now also able to include royalties. This is funded by a Series A that we are raising at the moment. We have already 2 partnerships and a royalty deal at this level of traction. We have an experienced team in science and business, including Sales Director Ruth Mays and experienced financial advisor Ina Gerber and Christian, our project manager. We have proven track record on royalty deals. We have a long-term revenue potential of about 800 million euros annually, and we're looking to fund our market access with a 4.5 million Series A. Thank you.
Okay, I think, Fernando, we have a question over there.
Congratulations for the project. What is the main competitive advantage you have against other solutions, especially those coming from major vendors?
The company's own teams that are already putting these kinds of things in place. And our main advantage is the AI technology that's proprietary, that allows us both to have higher accuracy than what the statistical methods can do, and they also allow us to interpret what we are seeing, and that can often have biological meaning. And this is really important for gene editing and the kinds of advances that these companies would like to make.
Okay, thank you very much, both. I believe we have another question, Pedro.
What can you explain about your marketing strategy, please?
We are using experienced consultants, basically former co-workers of our customers who have retired or who are moving into private business and are still in touch with their former colleagues and have a lot of credibility there, and we hire them on a consultancy basis so that we can get access to these larger companies and talk to the right people there.
Okay, thank you so much. That was straight to the point. Thank you very much, both. Thank you, Dankeschön. Okay, so to go back to our stage, I want to introduce our next speakers that we're going to talk about, as I was saying, a little bit around sustainability and how do we engage big companies, small companies? What are the plans to push forward the sustainability efforts worldwide? So to talk about that, I want to invite our next two speakers here on stage. So please welcome Valentín Alfaya, Sustainability Director at Ferrovial and President of the Spanish Green Growth Group. Valentín, are you here with us? Here we go, Valentín. Pleasure meeting you, sir.
My pleasure.
Take a seat, please. And also joining us here physically, Ricardo Laiseca, Managing Director and Head of Global Innovation and Analytics at BBVA. Where are you, Ricardo? There you go. Have you in the jury, they take you here. Okay, and in our connection, direct link, please welcome David Urbano, Chief Marketing Officer at Imagine. David, thank you very much for joining.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. There you go.
Okay, perfect, sorry.
Great. So now that I have you here, I would like to start with you with this question. I was checking a little bit of your background. You've been working extensively in the bank in different positions, doing mobile banking and digital network director. Then you jumped to run the Imagine Bank, and now you've kind of re-engineered or created a new approach, a new strategy that you just recently launched called Imagine. So can you please tell us a little bit more about the new strategy, and maybe the most important part is how does that connect directly with the sustainability core?
Yes, of course, of course. Yes, we as you were saying, we relaunched Imagine last June, and basically what we have done is we have transformed the Imagine Bank solution, which was the Spanish leading mobile-only bank for young people, into one of the biggest digital platforms dedicated for the young users. And at that moment, Imagine is a platform of over 2.6 million young users. And it has become a platform that includes financial and also non-financial services, such as digital content and experiences. And we want to position Imagine as a reference in sustainability because it's one of our community main concerns. In order to do that, we have defined a clear strategy focused on 3 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are these 3: sustainable communities, responsible production and consumption, and also action for the climate. And to implement this strategy, we have created a proposal for all of community, and that's what we call Imagine Planet. So Imagine Planet is much more than a combination of activities and initiatives. With Imagine Planet, we define how we want to be as a company, with who we want to work, and also what impact we want to have into the society. To tell you an example of that, one of the initiatives with the best acceptance among our community was the Imagine Planet tour with Dani Yescas, which is a Spanish influencer with more than 1 million followers, and we have done that last month. And together with Dani Yescas, what we have done is we went over the north of Spain riding a bike. Well, he has riding a bike, not me. And what we have done is with this challenge, with only one mission, to help reforesting a forest. And over the kilometers that he has done, Dani Yescas, for each kilometer we have reforest 1 tree. So this is an example of what we do on Imagine Planet.
Quite impressive. I was just thinking that in some moments we're going to have someone that literally walked around the globe the first person to walk around the globe. You should talk to him for every time he walks you plant a tree. Thank you very much. Pleasure having you, David. And I'm going back
very much
to you guys. Big question. I'm going to start with Valentin. Big question, okay? Are you ready?
Not sure.
Not sure. No, so, you know, we talk a lot about innovation, but in all honesty, it's the big companies that sometimes have the muscle and have the inertia to change some of these things. So I want to poke your brain a little bit on how do you see, what are the roles and the responsibilities for large corporations like Ferrovial in terms of energy transition? What's your weight? What do you bring to the table?
Well, I think, well, first, thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this outstanding event. I think, in my view, big corporations, particularly big corporations, should be focused on at least 3 areas. The first one is obviously to set carbon reduction targets ambitious enough. In my view, this means to be aligned with the science expectations. For example, Ferrovial was the first company worldwide in our sector in agreeing and achieving this agreement with the Science Based Targets initiative. So first, ambitious targets. Second, in my view, we should deliver, if you want, reliable roadmap for decarbonizing our portfolio. That means first, reducing the carbon intensity of our business model and our portfolio. And second, even more important for me, to, in a sense, embed this transition, energy transition, and climate change expectations or needs in the business portfolio. That means to, if you want, shape our business model in order to provide those solutions the humankind and the society needs for addressing properly this huge challenge. And last but not least, I think it's important to, particularly for the big corporations, to try our voice to be heard at the level of governments, regulatory bodies, because we've been, if you want, very shy in providing inputs to the regulatory processes. And basically, I think we should follow the recommendations of the United Nations General Secretary. For example, 3 years ago or something like that, he asked us, first, you, the companies, you should be more vocal, more demanding, in a sense, to misbehave. Misbehave means, in that sense, to make our voice to be heard strongly, in a strong position, in order to the regulatory bodies and governments to get our input clear.
No, it's very important, and we get that stuff from the startup perspective, where they say, like, you need to raise your voices because regulators need to understand how to do this, right? And
absolutely.
We move so fast, and the acceleration is so big that sometimes it's hard to even pinpoint what exactly. I was just thinking, you know, what it is one day in your life when there's suddenly a new change in regulation. You have to go through the whole stack of, like, where is this going to impact us? Yeah. We'll get there at one point. Thank you very much, Valentin. And Ricardo, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Question for you. You have kind of a very eclectic background, which is really interesting, being a long time in the bank, but in different roles, very powerful, very, I would say, important roles within the bank. And from your current perspective right now as head of global innovation, you're probably getting in touch with a lot of startups and a lot of innovative things. Do you feel, since you've been there, that there's been an acceleration on the kind of interactions and the kind of new wave of sustainability that you are getting exposed to? From the outside, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Thank you. My view is that everything is changing. We are living in a very challenging time, no? We are living in a global pandemic situation and also in a global economic crisis at this moment after the pandemic. So it's time to act. So we feel that the financial institutions, we should have carry on and represent a part of the solution. I feel that we have done this for a long time. This is something financial systems can contribute a lot. But at this time, it's time to reorientate our daily activities, the way we conduct our daily operations, into a much more sustainable way. It's a responsibility of everybody, not just the banks. But I feel that banks in particular, we can contribute much more than ever. Maybe it's the time where banks can have a unique approach to economic growth and a unique approach to serve our society and the world in a different way.
Oh, you're very right. I think it's kind of connected with...
They are one of the main drivers now.
I know. I was just going to say that...
Just follow the money. If the money goes that way, everything is going to change.
No, but I would say that even the core values, it's not just the money. It's like I've seen VVA changing the needle in many ways. So
yes, as I said, this is a unique opportunity. It's about values, it's about people, but also it's about technology and data, right? It's important to include the new competencies, the digital competencies we already have into the equation, because we can offer more solutions than ever. We can treat our clients better. We can offer different solutions, personalized solutions, in particular around sustainability.
That's right. Well, we're nearly getting out of time, so it's been a pleasure having both of you here and the connection over here with David. Thank you very much, all three, for being here and sharing your thoughts. In all honesty, and I'm going to cheat here, and I'll tell you this, but every time I go outside, everyone comes to me and says, like, oh, do you know the guys from VVVA? They're doing so many cool things with data. So some cool things you might be doing because people are actually listening. So all three of you, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for being here. And talk to you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
A pleasure.
Okay. Bye. So we are back to the rock and roll, one of the last startups we're going to present today. I hope everyone is enjoying and everyone's still with me connected. I know it's a long track, a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different startups, but we're nearly there. We can make it. This time we're flying to Switzerland, so it's my pleasure to introduce our next startup that's talking about emission-free production of hydrogen from fossil fuels with valuable solid carbon byproduct. So to talk about that, I want to welcome the co-founder, Christopher Brandon, for EH Group Energy.
EH Group Energy is focused on transforming fossil fuels from carbon-rich to hydrogen-rich for our future energy needs. That's through an innovative pyrolysis technology, converting natural gas to hydrogen and solid carbon. Hydrogen is already a large business, 70 million tons annually, but this could grow tenfold by 2050 as we seek to decarbonize. But producing hydrogen is a CO2-intensive process, and there's really only three alternatives: renewables providing electrolysis, carbon capture and storage, and our approach, using pyrolysis. Each one has its own challenges and will serve its role. Electrolysis, though, uses huge amounts of energy. Carbon capture and storage has a very high CapEx, and pyrolysis, which uses much less energy, has a low TRL. But it also provides the opportunity of creating high-value carbon byproduct as well. Our technology is microwave-initiated catalysis, developed at Oxford University. The process is fairly straightforward. Methane passes over the catalyst bed, the microwave activates it, and you get rapid, instant decomposition to hydrogen and solid carbon. In fact, it's a near instant reaction time with yields of over 90%. This is an energy transfer rather than a heat transfer. And that's why you get very high net energy balance of 20 to 100 times that of a conventional thermal process. On the other side of things, we get high value carbon nanotubes. This is a small market, but extremely valuable, with tremendous opportunity to create lightweight structures and displacement of CO2 intensive materials. There's only a small group of players involved in this space, and each one are facing their own challenges, primarily because they're all focused on thermal processes of pyrolysis. We've estimated that we can get the cost of hydrogen down to practically that with steam methane reforming, but with none of the CO2 involved in the process. Our team has extensive experience in the field of hydrogen production, fuel cells, energy systems and engineering, as well as catalysis and chemistry. Our business model is focused on both sides, the high-value carbon production, as well as on distributed hydrogen production through manufacturing and licensing with large energy groups. Our main task and challenge at the moment is to increase our TRL level from 4 to 6 and develop, scale up, and establish long-term partnerships, which is why we're here talking to you today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Christopher. Wow, impressive stuff. Just when we were getting to the point where it's all about electricity and energy, and now here comes Christopher talking about super efficient hydrogen production. And then, hey, connecting with, you were talking about graphite, but graphene and a lot of the byproduct that is being used also in cutting edge stuff. Anyhow, let me head this way to talk with Mr. John. John, please go ahead with your question.
Well, first of all, Christopher, thank you for the pitch. Very interesting. My questions go on the sustainability side of pyrolysis. And the question goes to this: to be truly sustainable, you need a truly large-scale market for the carbon. You have to tie up the carbon so you can compete with green hydrogen from electrolysis. So is there sufficient market out there for the carbon? And the second line is, how long do you think it will take you to get to market and to the higher TRLs?
Thanks for the questions. So in the highest value carbon markets, they're very small for sure. I mean, carbon nanotubes, which is actually 90%, 97% of what we're producing, is a 150 million to $500 million market globally. If you look at things like carbon black, it's much, much larger. And then obviously, if you were to fully scale up, you would actually have to consider actually sequestering the carbon if the markets themselves weren't large enough. So there's a sort of transition period from us from developing the markets and getting to scale.
We're out of time.
And the time frame is 4 to 5 years, 40 years to get to
Christopher, we're out of time. Sorry. This hurts. I swear, startups, please forgive me. It always hurts when I do this. Now, John, you seem to know a lot about this. So I'm actually quite interested because you pointed out two very important things about sustainability and gas sustainability. So what is your take there, and how do you achieve sustainable gas, and why is it important?
Well, I think, thanks for the questions. I'm not sure if you're going to cut me off in 30 seconds or not. I'll go to the last question first. Why is sustainable gas important? I think as we look forward, we have this tremendous challenge of decarbonisation. It is a huge, huge challenge that we're going down the road. But the one thing that we know today, because we do not know the solutions, but there is one thing we know today, is that there's not one solution. We're going to need a range of solutions, and each solution will have their little niche in the final puzzle. So for us, sustainable gas is part of that solution, and I think more and more experts see in green hydrogen, renewable gases, which are biogases produced from renewable sources, that they can substitute fossil gases, are going to be required in that solution to complement electrification, to complement the CO2 capture. So it's part of the solution, and it's a very important part of the solution. Also, it enables us to use the existing infrastructure. We can decarbonize the existing structure and deliver energy to the people, but deliver sustainable energy. And another line is that the biomethanes, we can produce them from waste materials. They go along the circular economy concept, where we can reuse our valuable assets and go down the biomethane route, so we can create these circular atmospheres. So it is very important because it's going to be required if we really want to get to decarbonisation. It is complementary. We can start integrating the gas and electricity systems together. And for that reason, things like all the interest in green hydrogen and other renewable gases are being driven by this need.
It's actually interesting. You point out two very important concepts. I would say that I always think when I listen to the startups, I go like, but do you have the infrastructure to then plug this into the world structures, right? So it's good that we're thinking about this stuff. So thank you very much, John. One day you're going to go up there and we're going to have a long chat. Thank you very much. And meanwhile, I don't know if we have any other questions from our judges. Anyone else? Any hands, please? No? No questions. Okay, well, we are on the final stages of our block, and we're gonna hear the last pitch of the track. And coming all the way from UK, I honestly remember when I reviewed this pitch, and I was like, whoa, what, really? So I think everyone's gonna be excited about this one. So please welcome our next startup that uses natural and biodegradable cellulose beads to smooth on the skin and save the planet. Please welcome Giovanna Laudisio, CEO and co-founder of Nature Beds.
Hi, I'm Giovanna, the CEO of NatureBeads, and I'm here today to tell you that it took you approximately 1 week to eat 5 grams of plastic, more or less the weight of a credit card. Where does this plastic come from? One source of plastic pollutions are plastic microbeads, which are plastic particles smaller than 5 millimeters. These plastic particles are intentionally added to many products you use every day, like shampoo, toothpaste, sun lotion, detergents, etc., because they fulfill multiple functions. Unfortunately, these plastic microbeads enter in the environment, and estimates are that 250,000 tons of plastic microbeads reach the oceans every year, and this corresponds to 20 billion plastic bottles. This is not just an environmental emergency, it's also a market opportunity because plastic microbeads have been banned in some products and in some countries. But now the European Chemical Agency is proposing to ban plastic microbeads everywhere in all applications. NatureBeads' solution is to replace plastic microbeads, which are fossil fuel based and polluting, with cellulose beads, which are natural and biodegradable. Cellulose is the material of choice because it is natural, it is what plants and trees are made of, it's abundant because every year the earth produces millions of tons of cellulose, it's renewable and biodegradable. NatureBeads' target market are cosmetic and personal care, paints and coatings, fillers and composite, and the global microbeads market is 5.6 billion euros in 2020. NatureBeads cellulose beads are the only currently available alternative to plastic microbeads that can provide biodegradability, round shape, stability in use at the same cost as plastic microbeads. Our business model is to license the technology to mass manufacture cellulose beads to companies like BASF, DuPont, Dow, ingredients manufacturers. And we license as an integrated manufacturing solutions, and we are currently building the pilot plant. We've received multiple requests of materials from companies ranging from personal care and cosmetics, paints and coating, packaging, etc. We sampled 7 companies and we received 3 positive feedback so far. One company is interested in launching a product with our beads. We have a committed team of technical people, people like me with industry experience, or like our principal process engineer, Lolan, with experience in technology commercialization at Dyson. And we are now looking for connection with industry to test our beads and with investors for our next round of funding to accelerate the commercialization of our technology and achieve clean oceans free from microplastics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giovanna. Impressive. I must say, I keep saying beds and it's beads. Who invented the English language that never pronounces in the right way? Anyhow, I don't know if we have any questions. Judges, last pitch of the track. Any questions? Raise your hands, please. Okay, we have Diego. Go ahead, please.
A good presentation. My question is, what are the main challenges that your potential clients face on adapting to this new technology?
Your question is about the challenges that our customers have in adopting our technology?
Yes, correct.
Okay, our customers are companies like Dow and BASF or AkzoNobel that are ingredient manufacturers. So the main challenge is that they expect us to scale up the technology to full scale. So this is what we are doing right now. We are doing the job for them so that when they receive it, it's a turnkey technology solution to manufacture cellulose beads.
Okay, wow, that was impressive. I was just thinking, you know, Italian, Spaniard, it's hard to get us to go to the point in 30 seconds. So, Giovanna, impressive. Any other question, judges? Do we have any other questions? Raise your hands, please. And we're moving forward to the last talk of our track. And to talk about something that I think we've seen in some of the talks so far, but I think it's really important that we highlight it again, is that a lot of this stuff is not just the technical capacity that we have to build or to deploy or to research these things, but I think in most cases it's more of a mindset that you build, right? I was remembering the talk with EcoAlf and thinking it's about how we embody those values and how do we use our knowledge, how do we use the people around us to push these things forward. And precisely to talk about that, how to build a sustainable mindset, I want to introduce our next talk. So please welcome Isabela del Alcázar, Global Head of Sustainability at IE University. Thank you very much for being here, Isa. There we go. Take a seat, please. And to accompany Isabela, please welcome Pedro Alonso, Communications Director at SACIR, and Nacho Dean, naturalist and professional explorer. There you go. Keep going, keep going. There you go, Nacho. And I have an interesting fact about Nacho that I was just mentioning a moment ago. You're going to help plant trees, my friend, because Nacho here has an impressive track record. He's a naturalist and professional explorer. He was the first person to complete a walk around the globe and the first person to go linking all 5 continents swimming. Can you take your shirt off? Maybe later.
Later.
Okay, Isabela, floor is yours. Enjoy.
So thank you for inviting us here today. We are here to talk about building the sustainable mindset. And I will start talking about what's happening now, pandemics, which are unique among natural disasters in that they affect the whole world at the same time, just like climate change is doing. There's no time to lose, and we need to be ready for a behavioral change, leaving aside our individual priorities to work together for the collective welfare. We need to reorient all of our political, economic, and social systems, as well as creating the right mindset in the people with whom we work. Well, you've already been introduced. So we have here the opportunity to talk to Nacho. He's been walking around the globe. He met people from different cultures. He's seen lovely landscapes. How do you think the world is reacting to this current situation?
Well, thank you very much for the question, Isabela. To travel on foot is the best way to know the culture, the countries, the places, and of course to document the state, the health state of the environments you walk through. During 3 years, from 2013 to 2016, and then 2 years later, from 2018 to 2019, I've been walking around the world, and I have an idea of the real size of the planet. It's a knowledge based on my own true experience. And I can say the planet is not so big, so we should take care of it. I've spent almost half of my life in the open air, in contact with nature, and I experienced the planet as a living being where everything is connected. The atmosphere, the wind, the oceans, the soil, biodiversity, human beings, we belong to nature. We are part of the full picture, and we should be aware of that. Every action has a consequence, has an impact. During my second expedition, when I was in Turkey, Turkey is the most polluted country by plastics in the Mediterranean area. The second one is Spain. But most of those plastics are thrown in different countries of the Mediterranean. So what I mean, a single action is not enough. A global action is needed. My vision is a humanity of free, healthy, and happy people living in balance with the planet boundaries.
Yes. Well, actually, what you're saying, we do care a lot about the environment, and it's very important, and it's part of the sustainability agenda, but also the people that live in the planet and how we treat them. And I would say also we need, and this is a must, a healthy economy for the country to excel. So I know there are several players which are equally important. We have, for example, governments that are the ones that put policies in place, and this defines the framework in which companies can operate. We also have the private sector. And so, Pedro, if you can please talk to us on your opinion of the role of the private sector and what is Sacyr doing, please.
Thank you, Isabella. And Nacho, nice to meet you too. It's amazing, your story. So I hope we can collaborate in the future, of course, in your next adventure.
Thank you.
So the pandemic has revealed our vulnerability as a society. And the challenges we already face, such as climate change, are compounded by the need to rebuild the welfare state in a better way, build back better, in order to curb expanding inequality. This situation has shown us that we must be prepared for this type of crisis, and we cannot allow this to happen again. This situation has shone a spotlight on countless vulnerabilities and has highlighted the interconnection between systems, providing a stark reminder of risks that can emerge when we allow weaknesses and negative impacts accumulate over time. As Sacyr, we have the ability to build, in partnership with other agents, everything that has been hit by this pandemic. Our activities and business areas are closely involved in improving people's quality of life, structuring territories and economic growth, but in a sustainable way, okay? Connecting with our stakeholders to know what they need and provide it in the same pack with infrastructure such as roads, hospitals, water plants, and so on. We're a company with a focus in public-private partnership, PPP. So we stay for many years in a country, living and contributing for a sustainable development.
Yes, you are talking about collaborations. I was stating before that there were different players, but clearly collaboration is the key to success, and private-public partnerships are already happening, as you're saying, and this is how it must be, actually, because climate change, we do think of it as something that's slowly happening, and that we have time and to act against, but the truth is that the planet is continuously heating and we're reaching the point of no return. I know Nacho has wonderful examples of things he's seen related to climate change around the world. If you want to share, please.
Yeah, of course. Climate has been always changing, but in a very long period of time. What happened actually nowadays is, as a consequence of the human activity, is changing in a very short period of time. When I was in the Bering Strait, very close to the North Pole, I was living with Inuit, with Eskimo culture, and I could witness with my own eyes the consequence of the global warming. I helped them to build a wall to stop the waves of the sea in winter. It's a region that used to be frozen in winter, but now, as a consequence of the global warming, the temperatures are rising as the sea level, and there is no more ice. Now we face a pandemic. One of the things we learn is how deeply connected is the health of humanity to the health of the planet. It's not possible a healthy people on a planet that is sick. So we must be aware of that. And one of the things we learned, we talked about it before, is that we should create partnership and we should act all together. It's not only about the single action, it's about the society, it's about the governments, and it's also about the exponential impact capacity companies. So how we do this? Through innovation, through education, and through law.
Yes, and I think something good about the pandemic is that we've suddenly become aware that things can happen and change in 2 days. and we do need inspiring stories. We need role models like you, that you are one for many people. And we also need the companies to create a culture of sustainability so that people that work there can start feeling how things can be, and this will help them act in a more positive way towards sustainability. There's a McKinsey report I actually read last week, and it said the following thing: businesses looking to make external social contribution should, paradoxically, look inside. Improving workers' job satisfaction could be the single most important thing they do. This is one fact. The other is, and this is from another review, Harvard Business Review, and it said that many employees were willing to trade a percentage of their lifetime salary to be in a company that works towards a meaning. So why is this? Because we need happy employees that are satisfied working in a company that cares and is moving forward for something, a positive impact. No? So I know Pedro shared with me that at Sacyr you want to be agents of change. How is this?
Absolutely, Isabella. We want to contribute to society's progress towards a sustainable future and be a reference in the development and management of infrastructures that have a positive social, economic and environmental impact for the benefit of all our stakeholders. Our performance is based on values such as social commitment and environmental ethics, elements that are catalysts for well-being and sustainable progress wherever we operate. We want to be closer to the societies where we operate and contribute to improving people's quality of life, always from a responsible business model. Likewise, one of the main goals of Sacyr Group is promoting social and economic value creation in those communities. Through the Sacyr Foundation, we implement both direct and indirect actions that have a great impact on society, with more than 100,000 beneficiaries last year with our volunteers. And we have a very strong plan of internal communications calling to action to our people to make action in many areas like water supply, hospitals, or now in COVID-19 crisis, food programs.
Yes, so do you think this pandemic has shown us that we are ready to put aside our individual priorities and change our habits?
For sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely. One of the things we learned is how important is to think in global. A global action is needed, and that we should prioritize the community welfare before our personal interest. So we must think and act as global citizens. I think it's an amazing time also to create relationships, to create ecosystems and partnerships. And also we've got a roadmap set by the United Nations and the Sustainable Development Goals. So I think is, of course, one of the things we should is to prioritize the community interest and our personal. As I saw through my expeditions, there is nothing impossible. I try to show in the books I've written and a documentary I'm working on what we are capable of when we focus on a goal and we work hard for it. Now we face one of the biggest challenges in history, but I'm sure with hard work and working all together, we will overcome it.
Yes. So thank you very much for being here. I just want to finish by saying also the very important role of education at all levels in creating the right sustainable mindset. So thanks.
Well, thank you very much, all three of you. It was a pleasure having you. And I was thinking that, you know, every single time when someone tells me, oh, but that's too far, you have to walk there, that's too far, I swear I'm gonna give them your name. It's like, that's not far, not even close. Okay, and hey, with all due respect, you say the Earth is small. I will care to, I mean, I get your point, but you know, walking there, it's a long way. Thank you very much, all three. Okay, so people, how is everyone getting along? Because we are at the end of our track, and it's been an immense pleasure being here and sharing this track with all of you. I really want to appreciate the effort and the time of all our judges that have been here on the stage and connected. And I've been on the other side, so I know how long this kind of drones on when you're on the other side. So I really appreciate you guys being connected, being responsive, and throwing these really good questions. The same goes for startups that have been connected and responding and pitching their incredible startups. So it's been an immense pleasure having all of you here. And this is a reminder that we're still going to have the prime time in the afternoon. Don't forget to check it out because we have an incredible speakers and keynotes there too. And reminder that this track is being produced in parallel with 2 other tracks that you can also switch and check, which is the mobility and smart infrastructure and the connectivity and data. Reminder that the winner of the energy and sustainability pitch competition will be announced this afternoon too. And finally, my personal appreciation for everyone making this possible. It was a pleasure being here, and see you on the next track. Enjoy the rest of the show. See you.